Grace asks, is Samsonov Murray a better tandem than Campbell Mrazek? Well, let me throw this out there. I'm comfortable with the goalie depth if the Leafs add another guy. And that guy is Samsonov. So I'm comfortable with the depth. Last year I wasn't comfortable with the depth. Mrazek was unusable as the Leafs backup. So it's good in terms of that. The bar that Samsonov has to climb over is he needs to be better than an 888 goalie, which is what Mrazek was. That's the bar he's got to go over.
Big one there.
Big one. What Murray has to do, Campbell in November last year was unbeatable. The Leafs won 14 out of 16 games. And I always like to throw this stat out there. I was at one of the two losses. I won producer Drew over $100 because I told him to bet on Trevor Moore to score the first goal of the game. Trevor Moore did not have a point heading into that game, and he did score the first goal, so he won $100. Campbell was unbeatable. He was unbeatable, and he was good down the stretch, and I thought he was pretty good in the playoffs with a few moments of weakness. But what he lacked so much was, A, health, which Murray struggles with as well, but B, consistency. Yep. So they're actually more alike than you think, these two goalies. Ooh, we got footage too. Like, that's a dang it, and that's followed by a really good save. You know, like, this is Jack Campbell in a nutshell. Give it away. Away! Giant save. You know, Jack Campbell giveth and Jack Campbell taketh away. You see, okay, so there's two plays where he creates his own problem and then solves it. That's a great save. He's a great guy. That's a great save. Capable of high athletic plays. So Grace, instead of just, verbal diarrhea here, I'll attempt to answer your question. Samsonov Murray has potential to be better than Campbell Mrazek, but I would say that Campbell Mrazek, if the Leafs were to come back with it this year, I don't know if it would be better or worse than it was last year. That's how unpredictable they were as a tandem. So the fact that the Leafs are heading into next season with questions, that was going to happen no matter what. So they had to do something. This is the something they decided to do. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but Samsonov makes me feel way, way better. If he falters, you go to Källgren. Hopefully he doesn't falter. I don't know. That was a lot of answers all in one. What do you think, Grav? I need the outside perspective of my little Toronto bubble.
I got to be honest. I mean, when there was the reports of Murray going to Toronto, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And that trade by itself, I don't think was the greatest. You could have, obviously, we could all say we could have gotten more, but probably not. Right. But I feel like it's going to be one of those tandems, one of those situations that either is just going to just knock your socks off or be what we kind of could expect it to be. I'm kind of lower on Samsonov than most people. I feel like he's a player that had a good season a couple of years ago, has kind of been, again, another inconsistent younger player. But he's a guy that has a lot of talent still, a lot of potential, in my opinion. And you could also put in Murray, who's also, I think a lot of people forget just how young he is still, even though he did win those 2 Stanley Cups. It makes him feel a lot older than he is. And I feel like that's a tandem that if you can get Murray back healthy, and that's obviously a big if, and if you can get Samsonov, I think Samsonov, with the expectation that he's going to be the backup, is really interesting, just as a pure backup. I feel like that he has potential to fill into a big role if he needs to. It's just one of those things that I think if Samsonov is in a much clearer situation, if that expectation is a lot lower, because I think in Washington he was, during his time, I mean, he was a former first round pick. He was a player that had tons of expectation there, tons of like he would be the next Holtby, he'd be the next heir to the throne. And I feel like under Toronto, with maybe other Leafs fans, there's more expectation, but I think for his expectation of what he could be, there's less expectation there that makes any sense. But I liked what they could be doing, and I think for Toronto, this is the time to take risks, to bet on potential. And obviously, I don't think Murray has played amazing, but I think he was still a little bit underrated in his time with Ottawa. And again, if he's healthy, I think that pairing could be something solid for the Leafs. But we'll see what they do next.
We got 4 minutes left until noon here Eastern. You're 11, right? You're an hour behind there in Tejas in Texas. One quick thing before we get to the next question. Samsonov is a 2015 draft pick, and it's just something I've noticed about Kyle Dubas. He's obsessed with people who were picked in 2015. That was the year where the Leafs didn't have a GM at the draft, and it was him and Mark Hunter who had to run the show. There's something, to this day, 2022, he's still obsessed with the 2015 draft. Quick before we hit noon, 3 minutes to go. Hector, both Grav and Steve